This video is a military games tier list based on my own experience. I'm ranking these games by how their combat, realism, and overall military feel came together while playing. The tiers reflect how effective and engaging each experience felt to me. So let's dive right in. Delta Force Hawk Ops gives me a solid military shooter experience that feels reliable but not exciting. I like being able to jump between large-scale PvP battles and an extraction mode, and both are easy to understand and fun in short bursts. The big matches deliver familiar battlefield-style chaos with vehicles and objectives, while the extraction mode feels more welcoming than most games in that space. At the same time, the gunplay can feel slow, and the mix of realistic shooting with hero-style abilities doesn't always feel consistent to me. It does enough things right without really standing out, which is why I place it in the good tier. Squad is not a game I can casually jump into, and that's exactly why I respect it so much. From the moment I started playing, it made it clear that teamwork, communication, and patience matter more than quick reflexes or kill counts. Every match feels intense because the maps are massive, death is punishing, and lone wolf play just doesn't work here. I'm constantly talking to my squad, listening for callouts, moving carefully, and thinking about positioning instead of rushing forward. The gunplay is harsh but fair, and every successful fight feels earned, not handed to me. It can be confusing at first and unforgiving even after you learn it, but when everything clicks, no other military shooter feels this immersive or rewarding, which is why for me, Squad belongs in the masterpiece tier. 6 Days in Fallujah is one of the most intense and serious military shooters I've ever played, and it constantly makes me slow down and think like a real soldier. Every mission feels dangerous because enemies can come from any direction, buildings change every time, and mistakes are punished fast. I really like leading an AI fire team or playing co-op, giving clear orders, breaching rooms carefully, and moving as a unit instead of rushing in. The realism, atmosphere, and sound design make each fight feel heavy and uncomfortable in a way most shooters avoid. It's not always polished, and it can be frustrating at times, but the tension and authenticity it delivers are hard to ignore, which is why I place 6 Days in Fallujah in the excellent tier. Arma Reforger completely changed how I look at military shooters on console because nothing here is fast, easy, or forgiving. From the start, I felt lost in a good way, using real maps and compasses, managing my gear piece by piece, treating wounds manually, and relying heavily on my squad instead of UI markers. Every firefight feels tense since death matters, movement is slow, and teamwork is mandatory. I enjoy how communication, positioning, and patience matter more than reflexes, and when everything finally clicks, the experience feels unmatched on console. It's demanding, sometimes frustrating, and clearly not for casual play. And for me, Arma Reforger firmly sits in the great tier. Battlefield 6 feels like a proper return to what I've always loved about the series, with large 64-player battles, clear class roles, and a modern warfare setting that finally clicks again. Jumping into Conquest and Breakthrough gives me those classic Battlefield moments, with chaotic fights, vehicles supporting infantry, and maps that reward smart positioning. I enjoy how the class system feels focused and useful, progression is simple but satisfying, and the gunplay pushes me to think instead of rushing non-stop. The single-player side is weaker, but the multiplayer brings back the identity the franchise had been missing, and for me, this belongs in the great tier. Gray Zone Warfare pulled me in because it takes realism seriously and makes every decision feel risky. I like how dying actually matters, how losing gear hurts, and how the damage system forces me to aim carefully instead of spraying bullets. Building weapons part by part, managing ammo types, and extracting under pressure creates real tension, especially when playing with a squad. At the same time, the experience can be rough, with crashes, hit registration issues, long waits for helicopters, and systems that feel overly punishing when things go wrong. It's ambitious, intense, and rewarding when it works, but still messy and frustrating in places, and for me it lands in the great tier. Squad 44 delivers a World War II experience that feels serious, grounded, and built around teamwork above everything else. When I play, I'm constantly communicating, moving carefully with my squad, and relying on coordination instead of fast reactions or solo hero plays. The battles feel slow, tense, and deadly, whether I'm pushing through open fields, defending villages, or supporting armor crews in massive tanks. I really appreciate the historical accuracy, the sound design, and how every role matters, from infantry to logistics and commanders. It can be demanding, rough around the edges, and tough for new players. But when a match comes together, it feels unmatched in atmosphere and authenticity. And for me, this sits in the excellent tier. United 1944 mixes World War II gunfights with crafting, building, and light survival ideas, and I found that combination interesting but uneven. I like scavenging for resources, building defenses, and working with teammates to hold areas, especially in the domination mode where teamwork actually matters. The shooting feels solid, and the skill system lets me change roles mid-match, which keeps things flexible. At the same time, the game can feel rough due to low player numbers, limited maps, and modes that don't always stay exciting for long. It has good ideas and some fun moments with friends, but it doesn't fully come together yet, so for me, this lands in the good tier. Insurgency Sandstorm hits a near-perfect balance between realism and fun, and that's what keeps me coming back to it. The gunplay feels heavy, loud, and deadly. Where recoil matters, bullets hit hard, and every mistake is punished fast. I love how the weapons sound and handle, how close-range fights feel tense, and how teamwork matters without becoming overly complicated. The game looks grounded and serious, and the atmosphere can feel uncomfortable in a good way, especially when firefights break out in tight spaces. Some maps aren't amazing and the boundaries can be annoying, but the core combat is so strong that it carries everything else. And for me, this sits in the excellent tier. Arma 3 is a game where I don't get guided or protected, and that's part of its power. At first, I felt completely lost, learning controls, maps, vehicles, and systems that demand patience and effort. But once things started to click, the experience opened up in a way no other military game does. I've had moments where small choices turned into full stories, from slow patrols and sudden ambushes to long co-op missions that felt unscripted and personal. It's messy, complex, and sometimes frustrating, but the scale, freedom, and emergent gameplay are unmatched if you're willing to put the time in. And for me, this gets in the masterpiece tier. Hell Let Loose is not something I can jump into casually, and that's exactly what makes it special. Every match pushes me to communicate, stick with my squad, and play my role properly, because trying to go solo usually ends badly. I like how the large 50v50 battles feel slow, tense, and unpredictable, with front lines shifting and victories never feeling guaranteed until the very end. The class system forces real teamwork. The sound design makes combat feel intense and unsettling, and the long walks to the front make survival matter. It can be demanding and sometimes rough around the edges, but when everything comes together, few games capture the scale and weight of war this well, and for me, this is in the masterpiece tier. Beach Invasion 1915 Gallipoli tries to be respectful and serious, but playing it felt more dull than meaningful to me. I understand the intent to show how slow, costly, and hopeless the Gallipoli landings were. Yet the gameplay rarely gives me interesting choices or a sense that my decisions matter. Most missions feel the same, progress is painfully slow, and outcomes often seem decided by attrition instead of smart tactics. The visuals and sound are flat, the pacing is heavy, and after a short time, I felt like I was repeating the same failed push over and over. It may work as a historical concept, but as a game, it isn't engaging or rewarding to play, and for me, this lands in the trash tier.